Hello humans, I'm Batsy, and today we going to take a look at an early game farm that produces both honeyed apples and wood logs. As always in this series, we are going to take a look at farms that are targeted towards the early stages of the game, and that means that the rates of the farm and the material costs to build them will be relative to the stage they are targeted towards. All of that is obviously under my own judgment and priorities. You might have completely different requirements, and I encourage everyone to tweak the farms according to your needs. In the case of today's farm, we require some deployers in order to replant the saplings, which means we will need to go to the nether to get blaze burners and produce some brass with them. On the plus side, since we already need to produce brass anyway, we will be using some brass funnels to filter some of the things we're going to be producing, thus making this farm one of the easiest ones so far. If you want to support the channel, I have a Ko-fi page where I post extra content and sneak peeks of the projects I'm working on. Becoming a tier 2 Feng or above will also grant you access to my private server and future servers to come, so don't miss out on that opportunity. The link will be in the description below. You can see on screen all the materials we are going to be using for this. It all starts with a radial platform where we're going to be growing all the trees, which is the easiest way to collect the wood. And we are going to be using oak trees. They have the highest chance of giving apples for the space we are using. In the case that you playing with a mod pack that gives actual apple trees, then feel free to replace those saplings with whichever ones you want to use. Keep in mind that when doing so, you will also need to change the filter in the deployers to the corresponding tree. To generate the rotation required, we're going to make use of a windmill bearing and several sails attached to the main contraption. That way, the contraption will spin around and produce stress units at the same time. While the mechanical saws are collecting the wood, we will be taking the power produced by the contraption, moving it upwards along the shaft, and down into the main build via several cogwheels to speed things up. That way the machine will be working at a reasonable pace. There is plenty of power left, and it can be sped up further if you want to, but that won't increase the rates of the farm, so that's entirely up to you if you want that. Every full cycle, the contraption will stop at the portable storage interface, and it will dump all of the resulting materials, producing an approximate total of 1,580 wood logs and 495 sticks in an hour. We will see later how many apples are produced. Once all the materials are unloaded, they will move along the belt to get stored in their respective chests, which you can adapt to your liking. I'm personally saving 2 chests for the logs, 1 chest for the sticks, and the last one for the saplings. I like keeping the saplings to convert them into bone meal, and I use the sticks as fuel to generate charcoal with the excess logs. You can skip all of that and only save the logs if you desire. Everything that doesn't have a chest to be stored will be moved into the final barrel, where only the apples will stay, dumping everything else into lava. While all of this is happening, the bees will be producing honey for us, and said honey will get moved along the back pipes towards the main tank. The remaining apples will move forward from the barrel, where they will wait under the spout until some honey is available. Once there is honey in the tank, the spout will start to spray the apples with it, and thus, produce the honeyed variants. As you can see, producing wood and honeyed apples is very easy, but we will have to go through a few steps to set everything up. And it all starts by finding a tree in the wild that has a bee nest on it, which we need it to contain at least 2 bees inside. And we want to wait until night so all the bees are actually inside. Now we can mine the nest using a tool with Silk Touch, which will give us the block. Place said nest in a room with no exits so the bees don't escape, and make sure a campfire is underneath so the bees don't get angry at us. Plant a few flowers around it so the bees start producing honey, and use the first honeycombs to craft a beehive. We want to repeat that process until we are able to craft 8 beehives, and while we do that, we want to get a bunch of flowers and be constantly feeding the bees when possible so they keep breeding more bees. Eventually, we want to have 3 bees inside each of the hives. At that point we can wait until night, so all the bees are inside, then go ahead and collect all of the beehives. Remember that we need a tool with silk touch in order to do so. Let's keep them in our inventories for now, and let's prepare the farm first. As usual with any schematic, it all starts by placing it in our worlds, and giving it to the cannon to print it down. Once the cannon is done building, we want to go on top of the glass, and while looking down, we want to place each of the beehives on top of the pipes. That will make sure that the entrance of the beehive is in the right spot. We can verify it by looking at the tiny entrance that they all have. We also want to place lava on this spot so we can burn all of the excess items that we might generate. The tanks pretty much always glitch out, so do make sure to replace them until the textures look well connected. The only step left to do is to take all of the saplings we want to use. In the case of base create, I recommend using oak saplings. We will set them as the filters in each of these deployers, and throw the rest in any of the barrels in the contraption. Now we can right-click on the machine, and let it start spinning. It will require a couple of stacks to fill up this platform, so make sure you add enough of them for the first time. After that, it will produce more saplings than it consumes, so don't worry about it. I had it running for 3 hours and it produced me a total of 217 honeyed apples, which means about 72 apples per hour. Do keep in mind, this farm is based on random tick speed. The average results of 3 hours should be a good indication of what it produces, but you might produce twice as much as me, or half the amount. It will all depend on how fortunate or unfortunate you are, but it should eventually even out once you have it running for long enough. Do make sure to join my Discord if you have any problems with the farm. Schematics glitch out very often. Leave a comment with what other farms would you like to see me do next, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already.
Bye!